Ever since the Philadelphia 76ers lost to the Atlanta Hawks in the Eastern Conference semifinals, well, Ben Simmons has been the subject of many trade rumors. Now, I wanted to give you guys a brief disclaimer. This is a trade rumor and just that, and we are reacting to how valid this rumor is and whether or not it makes sense for it to happen or not. I'm going to give you an analysis from the Philadelphia 76ers perspective and the Minnesota Timberwolves perspective and a brief history, because this isn't really a new rumor. We've actually heard of this a year ago as well, which is what makes it so fascinating. Before we get to the content, I just want to let you guys know I'm going to be giving away a next-gen console, either a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X, to a subscriber that turns on our notifications on this channel. We just announced the winner of our jersey giveaway on my Instagram page, and we are running the same type of giveaway for my Laced Up podcast when we get to 40k subs, but since that's taking a while, I figured I'd do it on this channel, and instead of waiting till we get to a sub goal, I'm going to announce the winner of the giveaway in the beginning of August. Now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? The source of this rumor is coming from NBC Sports, and it has to do with Ben Simmons. And for you to really get an idea of where this trade is coming from, you have to understand where both of these franchises are. We often discuss the theme of when a team does everything it possibly can to put its star in a position of success, which is especially challenging if you're a small market team like the Minnesota Timberwolves. And in the case of Karl Anthony Towns, well, they did their absolute best surrounding him with a player that they thought was going to be transcendent, well, in Andrew Wiggins, who was already there when Karl Anthony Towns got drafted, and then trying to form a big three with Jimmy Butler, but obviously they ended up making the wrong move, trading Zach LaVine as opposed to Andrew Wiggins for Jimmy Butler, and eventually that didn't work out either. To the Minnesota Timberwolves' credit, they did consistently try their best to pivot, and when Karl Anthony Towns began to show signs of being disgruntled with the Minnesota Timberwolves franchise, they went out and pursued a player that they knew was really close to Karl Anthony Towns, that was good friends with Karl Anthony Towns, in D'Angelo Russell, an individual that he had a history with in AAU basketball. Now, on top of that, the Minnesota Timberwolves were able to luck out last year and win the number one overall pick in the 2020 NBA draft, and with that pick they were able to select Anthony Edwards. So they do have a nice young nucleus for themselves, but unfortunately with a pandemic offseason and the fact that there was a lot of volatility during the regular season, not to mention the tragedy that Karl Anthony Towns had to go through, and then you just had a very tough season for the Minnesota Timberwolves. They had to hire a brand new head coach in the middle of the season. D'Angelo Russell, Karl Anthony Towns would be in and out of lineups due to injuries. There was never a complete season played between the Minnesota Timberwolves, and once again, they were one of the NBA's cellar dwellers. Now, unfortunately for them, they don't have their NBA draft pick this year. As a result of the D'Angelo Russell trade, that goes to the Golden State Warriors. But when it comes to my perception of the Timberwolves, I do feel like a lot of their troubles this year had to at least be external. I feel like they need at least one full year to gauge how good the team is, to ensure that the team is all healthy and what they can do together, especially because we saw some great things from Anthony Edwards when the Timberwolves called his number, and he has a great foundation to build upon for the future. The issue is the Minnesota Timberwolves are in a state of urgency. See, Karl Anthony Towns' contract expires in 3 seasons, making him a free agent in the 2024 offseason. And while that might seem a little ways away, if the Timberwolves don't act quick and build a contender around Karl Anthony Towns, he has shown signs of being willing to move on from the Philadelphia 76ers. So about a year ago, we heard this rumor of the Minnesota Timberwolves really wanting to trade for Ben Simmons. And this is before any bad stuff came out about Ben Simmons. This is before people were roasting him for not really having a jump shot. This is before people were calling him a 0 and D player. Ben Simmons' name has been dangled in trade rumors a ton over the past year, whether it was being a return piece for a potential James Harden trade, or more recently, you're hearing rumors about his name being involved with Damian Lillard, which I personally don't buy. Now, this rumor with the Minnesota Timberwolves is very interesting to me because it's a year-old rumor. If it was a rumor last year and it's a rumor this year, then there's a good chance that there is something to this rumor. This is coming from Darren Wolfson of 5 Eyewitness News in Minneapolis. And he said, I texted with someone that knows Ben Simmons incredibly well, that has working knowledge of all things NBA. My text was, how badly do the Timberwolves want to trade for Ben Simmons? And the response was one word, badly. So here's the thing that's interesting about this. There are 2 ways the Timberwolves could trade for Ben Simmons, assuming that Daryl Morey would even pick up the phone on a potential Ben Simmons swap. The way the article from NBC Sports is presenting this is a Ben Simmons for D'Angelo Russell swap, which pretty much cancels out any opportunity for these former Montverde Academy classmates to team up with each other once again. So trade scenario number 1 would be a trade that features Ben Simmons for D'Angelo Russell just straight up because they make a very similar salary. Obviously, I think in this instance, the Philadelphia 76ers would want other assets in addition to D'Angelo Russell, so I can imagine Malik Beasley going to the Sixers and some salary cap fillers being traded back, but there's a huge problem that I have with this trade in particular. You see, I understand that Ben Simmons is a horrific shooter, that he has such low confidence that he doesn't even want to attempt a 3-point jump shot. I understand that he's stagnated offensively over the past 5 seasons that he's been in the NBA, but the thing that many people aren't taking into account here is Ben Simmons has a skill set that is very hard to find in the NBA today. He's been a consistent defensive force in the NBA, and his advanced analytics indicate that as well, sporting a defensive box plus minus of 2 for his entire career, and for the most part, it's been very similar during the 2019 to 2020 season and the 2020 to 2021 season. It's very hard to find a player that has the defensive versatility that Ben Simmons does, a player that is technically listed at 6'10", that plays the point guard position and can technically guard the 1 to 5 position on the basketball court. He could literally guard any player that he wants in the NBA, and he is phenomenal for switching onto other players. You will lose that if you trade him for D'Angelo Russell, who, yeah, does have the ability to shoot the 3 and is able to spread out the offense a little bit more for the Philadelphia 76ers, but at the cost of the defensive versatility that you were getting in Ben Simmons. So that's the issue with trade scenario number 1. Now, trade scenario number 2 is my own personal trade scenario where the Minnesota Timberwolves would give up Juan Hernangomez, Anthony Edwards, and Malik Beasley, in addition to multiple first-round picks in the future, in return for Ben Simmons. Now, the issue with this trade, at least in my opinion, is that Anthony Edwards doesn't fit the timeline of contention for the Philadelphia 76ers. Sure, it'd be great to put him next to Karl Anthony Towns and Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid, but he would be a third option in that offense. I feel like that would really mess up his development as well, and he is a defensive liability as well, although he does have defensive potential. At the end of the day, I don't see Daryl Morey as the type of individual that would sell low on a player's stock or on a player's trade value, unless if he absolutely has to. And in the case of Chris Paul, he really didn't have a choice but to do that. His back was against the wall with James Harden literally demanding that they trade him for Russell Westbrook. So Daryl Morey didn't really have a choice because he risked alienating his existing star by not trading his other star whose value was diminishing. But in this instance, I believe it's in the Philadelphia 76ers' best interest to hold on to Ben Simmons, potentially get him a shooting coach, and just work on his ability to shoot the basketball. Because at the end of the day, it's extremely difficult to teach a player how to shoot, but it's even more difficult to teach a player how to play good and efficient defense. So let me know in the comment section down below, do you see this trade happening? Do you think the Philadelphia 76ers should trade Ben Simmons, or should they hold on to him? What about the Minnesota Timberwolves? What do you think they need to do to take the next step and succeed? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.